how's the sound? Can you guys hear me all okay? All right. Thanks, Hackett. Okay, so if you didn't hear Tom, we're going to be talking about the rapid assessment of web resources, or RAWR. Thank you, Mr. Strand. No, Melissa. Golly. Sorry, buddy. There we go. All right, we're going to start off with a little introduction, and then Tom's going to talk about web assessments, kind of what's involved, the process that we go through, so like the time, tools, and the targeting. Then we're going to meet the little dinosaur, talk a little bit about Python, talk about what we're doing with the data, what plans we've got for the future, and then we're going to take it for a spin, and then if you want to hurl insults at Tom, he's right here. I'm sure you guys recognize the car. Is anybody familiar with the picture? You guys, yeah. SQL injection on a license tag reader somewhere in Europe. So, good stuff.
I like SQLi.
My name is Adam Byers. I'm Alias on Twitter. That's Alias. I think Vic was saying it was like AL14S. I don't know what you were doing with that, but so that's Alias. I've been coding since I was like 10. If anybody remembers Antic Magazine, how they had the blue pages in the back, had a little thicker cardstock. You can't read it here, but it says free inside 10 type-in programs. So that was, you know, you type it in, you'd have a game. Of course, my games were all bugged because I put so many typos in it. I do a lot of blue team work for a Fortune 50 company. Lots of coding. I love automating things, and I'm passionate about computer forensics as well.
So I'm Tom Moore. I'm on Twitter as Concealed, and I got my start in the InfoSec community. Did you just turn off? Yeah, okay.
You're live.
I got my start in security by developing AOL projects. Anyone back in the AOL CompuServe days, punters, kicking people out of chat rooms and stuff. So VB6 FTW. I'm now a Red Team Menace. I cause as much trouble as I possibly can, and I do not love creating reports. That is the worst part. I know. I think it's a typo. I didn't get to put that together. This is my second wife. She's my Russian bride, and I cuddle her very frequently.
We love America too.
So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna start on into the presentation, and we're gonna look at what I call the trick tees. And no, I will be keeping my clothes on. But we're gonna be talking about targeting, time, and tools of web pen testing. There's a lot of tools out there. There are a huge amount of tools, but some of the things that we're gonna want to target when we're looking at web penetration testing, we're gonna be looking for admin panels. SharePoint sites are gold mines for data. Internal services, HR, finance, you know, any of these groups that are going to have a lot of data behind their web applications. Configuration pages for switches, routers, things that really don't make much, you know, sense of being open on a network usually are. And so we're gonna target those. Printers are also pretty fun. But we're gonna look heavily into some of the pieces of the web interfaces that have data behind them, right? Either data or something that we can configure, something that we can use as a man in the middle. We're gonna try to attack those. That's our low-hanging fruit in most cases. And unfortunately, organizations today don't see them as attack vectors very often. There are thousands, probably, if you're in a decent-sized organization, there are thousands upon thousands of web interfaces on your internal network that are not managed centrally. They're handled, you know, this department sets up their own little website. They've got all kinds of information on it. This department takes care of this. Admins don't configure their equipment correctly, and so it leaves a huge gaping hole in a lot of organizations' security infrastructure. So we're going to look at time. So when we started doing a web assessment of our organization, it took a lot of time, and I mean a lot of time. Depending on the size of your organization is going to depend on how long it takes. How many folks in this room are penetration testers or handle pen testing at all? Okay, so a few. Who focuses on web? Anyone focus on web at all?
A couple.
A couple?
Yeah.
All right. So there are, there are a few that focus on web, and most of the people that we know that focus on web are like web app pen testers. They'll go after one particular site, but that's not always the lowest hanging fruit on an organization, right? That's something that someone has driven a requirement to have tested. So when we look at this, we have to gather data. We're going to use enumeration tools. Everyone likes Nmap, yeah. So we've all used a little bit of Nmap. We're gonna gather as much data as we can. We're gonna use Nmap. We're gonna use NIC2. We're gonna run a bunch of tools to try to map out and enumerate a network. And then we're gonna try to format that data. And holy crap, that's where things get bad. All of these tools that are out there do not put data together in a way that you can just put it into a nice, pretty report, because we love reporting, right? We can't format that data very easily, so there's a problem. And then once we get that data together and we've got it formulated in a way that we can actually read through it, we're going to look for low-hanging fruit in the environment. We're going to look for those admin pages and the configuration pages and things that we can attack. And then we have to exploit, right? We have to make sure that we go through the process of ensuring that what we have found through our enumeration and mapping of this network is truly exploitable. So we will use plenty of tools to go through and exploit that depending on the vulnerability and how it needs to be reported, or how it needs to be exploited. And then we're going to start with the reporting process. The reporting process is never fun for me. I try to push it off with my coworkers from time to time. It doesn't always go off that well. But we have to do reporting. Real quick, can anyone name 5 web-focused pen testing tools? One person. 5. Yes. Someone name 5 tools. That's good. Hopefully this tool will help you. Now this is not nearly all of them, but these are some of the common tools that we use when we go through a web pen test. Burp Suite, Zap, those are definitely would be in this. But what we want to do is we want our initial enumeration to produce information in a way that we can run it through these other tools and be able to utilize that a little bit faster, or automate some of these tools and the output from them into what we're going to get. And so we'll let this tool take the next slide. Oh, okay. Go ahead.
This one's on now. Okay, good. All right. So yeah, that's actually Tom back in the 90s. This is the nice little redneck ninja. Okay, time to meet the little dinosaur, right? So for, what was it, 3 or 4 weeks, Tom's doing this web assessment, and he's like, look, I found a real niche. There needs to be a tool that does this, that takes us from discovery to the analysis phase as quick as possible, right? Because you're running, your scan, then you're running this and this and this, and you're trying to get all these different pieces of information. You were cutting and chopping a lot of the information, doing a lot of grepping, doing a lot of, you gotta prep it before you grep it, right? Yeah, so that's horrible. So there's a lot of preparation involved, and I think that it was about 2 or 3 weeks of Tom going, dude, this would be good. Seriously, this would be good. Because I'll be honest with you. Yeah.
I'm not a coder anymore.
Well, he's a liar too. So, and that's sort of my passion, right? Automation. I love coding. I'm good at it, though that's debatable if you've ever seen any of my code. But so he convinced me that there's this niche, and I think that's important because me being a coder, and I'm on the blue team, and we work to protect our organization. These guys are a great source for project ideas. I think there's a real need for coders to get plugged in for people that, because I don't do the pen test directly. And on the other side of that, if you're a red teamer, if you're a pen tester, don't be afraid to jump in and start scripting some of these things. I know you guys have awesome ideas, things that you're like, hey, this would be great if I could do this. Just jump in there and do it. Don't worry about the what anybody says about it. Guys like myself, I know there's a lot of other guys that would love to help you. If you're trying to improve the code, you're trying to make an exploit work or something like that, we'd love to share any kind of expertise that we have on that. Take some training if you need it. My Twitter feed's been like every other day. The security tube Python from pen testers, I've seen that thing come up every other day. So has anybody taken that? Is that any good? I mean, okay, this might be a good advertisement for them. I don't know, but that's good stuff. Guys, take a class and get in there and do it. And there's guys like me that would be glad to take a look at it, help you get it going, help that stuff moving along. Because I think that would be really helpful for just to get the tools we need. Because red teaming, I'm still kind of learning the ropes and stuff, but I'm seeing that there's a big need for automation. That's kind of what Tom brought to light. So I need to breathe for a second.
We spent quite a bit of time in testing this tool, and you'll get to see it very soon. Adam's getting ready to give you a little bit of a walkthrough as to how it actually functions, and then we'll show you an example that we might have recorded upstairs.
So yeah, learn by doing, no matter how small the task. If you just need to parse some output and pull whatever, use Python for it. Use whatever you're trying to learn. A lot of guys a lot of aspiring coders like to use Ruby because it's fairly easy to learn. I would say pick it up, do it, and ask for help if you need it. So we'll take a look at how RAWR works, and this is based on the switches. So we're going to start with logging. You want to decide how you want this to be put out, where you want it to put out. So the default is going to be log_datetime RAWR from whatever directory you run that from. Okay. And if you want to compress it, tag Z, tag D, specify a different directory. And then we get to the scan part of it. Once we determine where we want that to be put, the scan, you do tac X. And this is sort of the cool thing that excuse me, that I like about it is if you've done a previous scan, and there's a couple of prerequisites to this, but if you've done a scan already, say like you're doing an internal assessment, you want to know what you got out there. So you run nmap, and if you've done that, you can feed your XML files into RAWR. It'll take the hosts out, all the ones that have web services on them, and it'll use them.
Yeah, so you do want to make sure that if you're pulling this against an nmap file or an XML file that you've enumerated through nmap previously, you do want to make sure there are a couple things in place. You do need to be scanning for web resources, or this is not going to do anything for you. And secondly, you also need to have service versioning on. We pull a lot of information out of service versioning that will help you during the actual reporting portion of this tool.
Thanks, Tom. So TACI, you can do nmap input list. So this is basically feeding nmap. Do what? Am I too loud? Did you say I'm lovely? That's kind of creepy, dude. So, you guys are supposed to be helping me out here. So, okay, so tac in, feed it a range, give it some ports, give it a timing, and the point of that is to get to the XML data, right? You're either feeding it in from a previous scan or you're having RAWR go out there and get that for you. That's creepy. Okay, so at this point we're going to go through the enumeration, right? And the point is to get as much information about each one of these interfaces as you can. We're taking screenshots, we're pulling headers, anything about that response we're taking. Cookies, SSL certs, anything that would be useful in that in our assessment.
More information that you can attack against. So as much information as you can capture, and it's going to give you a better idea of what host OS they're running, or what type of backend that may be behind this interface is there. You'll be able to tell the types of authentication methods they're using, whether it's form or please God, not basic, but you see it out there a lot.
So we're looking at, and this actually feeds into that, we're supplementing the enumeration with, we're resolving IP to country, we're getting the country of origin. defpass.csv is something I've been trying to compile, trying to get it to compile itself, if you know what I mean. And it is not just cert, man. But
we pulled login information, like login, username, and password, couplets from every database that we could find.
Yeah, so and what it is default usernames and passwords for these services, right? So take Apache. Yeah, I've got 5 different lists of credentials that could be the default username and password, and there's about 6,000 records in there. So I've built that as much as we could. If you want to throw TAC E in there, if it's going to be something you're going to be showing to somebody like a director or something, yeah, you want to pull that information out, just throw TAC E on there. And TAC B is pretty cool because we're using Bing for DNS resolution. Really handy with shared hosting. Feed in an IP address. Is anybody familiar with how Bing will tell you the domain names for any given IP address?
It's a feature.
Yes, a very good feature. So if you go to Bing, IP:, and then the IP address that you're looking at, it will output every domain name that it knows is associated with that. You may get some stale data in there, but that's okay because I haven't had anything that wasn't fruitful.
Yeah, I'd like to say that it's really funny. Sometimes seeing who coexist on the same shared hosting server.
Say that for later, Tom.
Yeah.
So we get to the output. And what you say is the output? I don't know what you're saying, man. You need to put your kilt down, though. That's kind of...
There's a ribbon.
My mom's going to watch this. So, yeah. No, Mom, you don't want to see that. They told me I couldn't speak tonight. So you've got all your Nmap stuff, right? And just a note for the XML, I'm playing with the XSL. You guys familiar with that? How you can pull the XML sheet up from an Nmap scan, and it'll show you, real nice in an HTML page. It's actually XSL. Anyway, I'm fixing the reference for that, copying the XSL file locally so it's standalone, right? So you can just pull that up. GNMap, Nmap, all that good stuff. So we've also got a CSV that's created of all the hosts and all the information, and it's split up into columns in true CSV form. It's customizable. You can switch them around. You can add columns, take them away. The way that it pulls things out of the data from the HTML, you can add regexes to, like I've got one detecting password fields, right? So on my CSV it shows up and says, okay, well it found this password form field, this username form field, and some people like that and they giggle, and it's kind of creepy when they do. Anyway.
Things.
Yeah, it does. And so we get to the HTML report with jQuery driven. I know you guys have probably read this whole thing by now, but fully searchable, fully adjustable content view. All the info is just one click away. Used to do a little web design, so I try to make it as user-friendly as possible. Create list off selected items. It's pretty cool. We'll look at that in a second. Images, cookies, SSL certs, everything's put in there so that you can reference that very easily. So,
and one of the things I want to touch on is this CSV format is something that anyone can grab. If you're a Windows person, you can take it into Excel. You can pivot table to your heart's content. You can pull it in there. One of the biggest problems we had was from all the different tools that we utilize, from Nmap to Nik2 to running WhatWeb or some of these different tools that have really awesome output. None of it was very easy to be able to put together or parsable, or it didn't have the same fields. So the way that RAWR puts this stuff together is awesome. It is very set in how it performs the output, and allows you a lot of a lot of usefulness when it comes to reporting time.
And it is, what would you call that? Good grief. It's cross-platform. Just trying to think of the word. So we've tried it out. We've tested it on OS X. We've tested it out on multiple versions of Linux, 64, 32-bit, Windows, XP, 7, 8, 3.11 for work groups. Not really. But yeah, so.
If it has Python, it'll run.
Yes, like a beast. So what are we doing in the future? Just a couple little things. I'm looking at, setting up a configuration file to pull from it. But the big point about this is this, for me, for future development, this is going to be based on the feedback I get from pen testers, right? This is for you guys. This is to make your job easier, to get more information, to cut out weeks. I think it cut out a couple of months of one of our pen tests. So, yeah, it's for you guys. So you determine, I guess, the overall scope that this goes to. So.
All right, so when we were futzing with this thing just a little bit ago, we could not get internet connection. So I apologize. This was going to be a live demo. But I think it will fit in nicely with what was
Do you want to do that?
It's up to you guys. Who wants to see live? Okay.
It's unanimous.
We can do it. I know.
Please don't kill me. While he's hooking this up, I just want to show my favorite picture of the whole presentation one more time. On the internet, amazingly enough, that is a donut, a pink frosted donut that the robot is holding. Thanks, Tom. Eric Joyner? It's a very good picture. I love it. I like the guy already.
How's that your thing? That's odd.
Don't ask questions, Tom.
So, let me just validate that I've got network connection.
It doesn't work. Does that show that you've got network connection?
I'm trying to find. Let me unplug for just a second here.
Yeah, some things should not be seen or recorded at conferences.
By the way, while he's fixing that up, as you guys leave here, you might see a Raleigh PD. Raleigh. I'm going to talk to the gentleman. He's here as General Hotel Security. He's here tonight. He'll be here tomorrow night. So he's not here like, crossing any of us. He'll ask me something.
Don't tase me, bro!
Or spare me with that weird stuff he was talking about. We can take a few questions if anybody's got, any questions about it. Yes, sir. Not yet. This is to
Actually, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you
yes,
can build
we
input
have.
lists with this. Yeah.
What have you been doing with it? That's actually a plan that I've got some different post-run scripts that'll take it, and we're looking at NIC2, Dirbuster, WFuzz, getting it directly into those tools. What's up?
What's the repo URL?
The what?
The repo URL.
The repo URL? I don't know.
We're just going to pick a target that was somewhat funny. Yes, actually.
I got your name wrong, man. I guess we're sort of even.
How long have you been with Wings?
Me? Yeah, man. I go to the gym every day. What
So,
are you talking about, man?
I was going to show how to install it as well, but the installation literally takes like 2 minutes. If you're on a decent network connection, it's very fast. So we're just going to kick it the RAWR script. I'm going to do a tac in to run nmap. We're just going to do the default ports because we don't want to set up too many flags and it takes a long time. So we're just going to kick this off and we'll paste this against, say, their whole subnet.
So tell them to pick a responsible target.
All right, so we're starting out here. Let me detach this.
You turn it off.
So yeah, I turned it off to take it out. All right, so what we're gonna do right now in the initial portion of it, and it's gonna reflect exactly what it's running. So we see that we're getting ready to run nmap against 80, 443, 8080, and 8088. The TAC P function will allow you to automatically pull in. Who knows FuzzDB? Please, God. Okay. FuzzDB is an awesome little database of a lot of web-based, like
directories and files.
a lot of different ports, default passwords.
Oh.
You're gonna have word lists. You're gonna have different things that you can fuzz against. It's also going to fail on us, I believe. We're just waiting on the initial nmap. How fast is this connection? Super
okay.
fast.
Let me take up a couple more questions.
It's over 9,000.
Yeah.
So we're waiting on nmap to kick off here.
So give it a second. Let's. Did we have any more questions? I had somebody else raise it. Yes. Yeah.
No,
Well, CSV
actually,
is actually the output, right? You're talking about inputs.
all you have for input is whatever list you're going to feed it. If you have already run an nmap scan and you want to run this against that host, it'll pull in the XML from that nmap scan. Otherwise, the only thing it's going to look for is a scope of what you want to run against. And Adam has put together the regex that I would not want to touch because it basically handles exactly what nmap would do for a scoped input. You can use CIDR notation. You can bring it in with a full range.
So I guess to answer the question, the two inputs, nmap scan, or you can specify your own XML. So the output, if there's an output you want to see, we're throwing out the CSV to be greppable to pull, because all the fields are not like tools that we've seen that'll omit a field and not put a blank space there. I mean, it's all standard. It's consistent enough to where you can script it. So yeah, I'd be more than willing to throw something else in there if you want to, any kind of output you want. But anybody else?
Looks like
Yes, sir. Yeah. It's excellent. I'm just calling it just a sub-process call to Phantom.js. Of course, I've got the little screenshot JS to show, or to kind of direct how it's pulling that. What are you doing?
checking connectivity.
Okay. But yeah, we're just using a sub-process call to Phantom.js to do that. Does that answer your question? I'm not sure I understood it. Yes. It's calling the websites individually. So it'll feed it like an IP address or a URL. And a note on that, you'll see.
No.
Go to the video.
Yeah,
Just
we're going to
to
go
the
ahead and go to video.
That's not the video.
Demo gods were not favorable.
I don't believe in the demo gods. But I'm not touching anything. Anybody else have a question? I'll try to answer it better than I did this gentleman. Hey, if you want to sit down and talk about it, man, I'd definitely like to see what you're talking about. Yeah, yeah.
All right, so I fail at buttons, but how many people have already pulled down Kali? All right, so this is fully functional in it. I did it upstairs. These videos were recorded just a little bit ago. And you will see a slight, I don't know, slight useful target as to all the other presentations this morning, pretty much, or this afternoon, pretty much.
Common theme, I guess, is what he's trying to say.
Yeah, I like the TSA, and they like me apparently. So this is basically what I'm doing right now. I'm just pulling down the Bitbucket repo for RAWR. It was private. It will be released to be public and open source this evening. So everyone's free to get out and get it. And
Yeah. You mean I could have got applause for mentioning that? Seriously?
so basically, right here, it'll go through, and when you first run it with a tac check install. And he's scripted this out beautifully, basically, and this is over the hotel wireless connection upstairs. It'll go out and it'll pull down all of the requirements that need to be in the directory for it to be able to run and kick out the reports that we're going to look at here in just a few minutes.
We had some awesome beta testers. I was installing all this without app prompting the user at first, and they were like, look, man, if you're going to install something, let us know. So anything you're putting on there, anything it's pulling down, it's going to be like, hey, do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? Phantom.js and RAWR, the actual script itself, it'll ask you if you want to install those. So.
And we pride ourselves on having the ugliest ASCII art possible. So it is almost done. It's about to kick off here.
Don't blink.
And so that's the full installation of the script. Pulls down everything you need. So we'll go ahead and kick off to the next. This is what we just attempted to do, but it worked an hour ago. So
Really?
I made him turn his head. He didn't want to scan TSA.
Oops. I'll put
Come
it
on.
down. Sorry, man. Stole your thunder.
All right. So
Yeah, just skip
let's
ahead.
find out where we are.
No, that's the prior one.
Switch to the next. I got it. Don't touch it. Thank you. All right, so we're going ahead and kicking it off. Same command as previous, and I'm going to scrub through here real fast just to speed this process up. Everyone knows what Nmap looks like when it runs. So we see a bunch of open stuff: 8080, 443, 80. It keeps coming for quite some time here, and so this is where the input really starts getting useful. This is where
You can see where
RAWR makes me
it
happy.
starts off Bing to DNS. I'm caching the results from each call, right? So it's not hitting Bing 500 times for each, or 254 times. It's hitting that cache. If there are no DNS entries, it just goes on. But what it's doing is what we discussed earlier about Bing. It's pulling all the hosts that would be available for that. This not being particularly a shared hosting range, I don't guess it's pulling back a whole lot, but that's what that is.
So we'll see when this gets a little bit further. If you have servers that are performing shared hosting, you may come back with per IP address. You could have thousands of responses back from this thing, and it's a lot less intrusive asking Bing for it because they want our traffic anyway than it is to do, like, say, a DNS request for all records against your target and give away your location. So this is a good little open source way. If you're pen testing the perimeter of an organization, there's a very fast way to be able to check and see if there are any documented IP addresses that are associated with the range that you're attacking. So I'm going to skip through this just a little bit.
I thought it'd be a good idea to do the entire range. Interesting.
YOLO, right?
Okay, so this is interesting. Can you pause it for a second? Or maybe I can catch it. So it's multi-threaded. I've got 25 threads running. So it spins them up and then parses all the hosts and fills all the threads in. It fills up a queue. And those 25 threads pull from that queue as fast as they can. And that's what you'll see queue size near the top, I guess. Yeah, queue size is 0. That means it got down to the bottom of the list. And on the right it says threads busy active. So you've got 7 busy threads, 25 active threads. So you can tell if one dies. But
so we just did a directory listing in it. You see this nice, pretty log folder, and when we go into that log folder, this is pulling up the HTML. And I'm going to show you this part live because this is too much fun. So we're going to switch back over, and I'll try not to make anyone else dizzy. But starting out, here's some of our CSV. And you'll look and notice that all of this information, and I'm going really fast.
do you see any password fields?
We'll look. So here's all your fields at the top, URL, host name, IP address, title, version, cookies, SSL certificates, what the versions of them are, SSL tunnels, SSL cert data, state, we know it's open.
Not a lot of metadata on there.
So we're going on through, and so based on some of the services that are there, we have the default password suggestions that are there as well. So one of the things we ran into is when we started really finding web services that we thought we could attack that were older services, is that a lot of time we were having to go through and actually do our own searches to try to find default usernames, passwords. So that adds a lot to that. So this is fully reppable. You know, it's CSV. You can use it across any platform. You don't have to have Excel to use it. But if you're an Excel wizard, you can make this look really pretty, and it's almost a report on its own.
So just a note, go back to that real quick and go to the top. I didn't click anything.
You didn't click anything.
I swear. Go back to CSV.
I don't know. Who am I? Stop. You're not going to get it with that. It doesn't like me. Oh my goodness.
RAWR. It's behind it. I see it.
Let's do this.
There it is. No, Tom. Click, no.
No?
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Go on.
I break things.
This is our first talk, so thanks for your grace there. So Tom's got a notes field. I guess I get to scroll that up to the top where it's showing the wrong. Wow.
Stop.
Any volunteers? Fred? Okay, so he's got one up there called notes. That's something that he recommended adding. So you add an extra field to the CSV. It's got a field list at the first of the script. We added one called notes. So Tom tells me this is what he uses when he goes through and enumerates these. If you got any notes to put in there, there's not any kind of plugin right now that throws anything into the notes field. So that's always going to be empty. But just kind of, I guess, to illustrate how you can.
Some of this stuff is old.
Holy cow!
All right. So, anyways, you can put whatever fields you want in this. It's in the script. What's it called? F list.
F list, yeah. Field list.
So
It's a variable.
You can F with anything that's in there. Apparently, you can put your own stuff in. It makes it a lot easier to be able to attack that stuff. So what I want to show you real fast is the output. So here is some of the output that we saw. Beautiful interface. We've got a login right there that we can probably attack. There's a printer that has been down for a year and a half. Anyone recognize that screen? Yeah. This gets fun. Default Apache. This is on the internet. I didn't go that far. So much stuff. Oh yeah, this one's good. Guaranteed in.
Run a host against that. Never mind.
I'm not doing anything to that.
Never mind. Yeah.
This is an offline screenshot.
Yes.
I'll let you talk a little bit more about the
Yeah.
interface.
Take that thing away from me. Okay, so did anybody get the movie reference when we were talking about the output or talking about the HTML, the little JavaScript snippet? Name, JavaScript. Oh, come on, it was good. It's from Batman. Nobody gets that. It's from Batman. He's like, I've given a name to my pain. It is Batman. And it, name, yeah, it was bad, very bad. Anyway, so let's say we're looking for, what, Apache?
Oh, wait a minute, real fast.
What?
Search for TSA.
Okay.
They don't like me. I'm telling you, they just don't like me. They hide everything they can and then try to go through my pants.
Yeah, so this is like our response to the full body nude scanner. So, yeah, so you got pretty much all the information that's in the CSV is in here in the HTML. We can go to image only. Obviously only show the ones with images. Make it a little bit smaller so you can sift through these quite a bit quicker. Seriously, you don't have the two-finger scroll thing? Jeez, Tom. Yeah, so a lot of different pages. There's a, it takes a second to render. There's so many. What is that? Kentuckians. Is that actually a word? KTSC.
This range is all government-based materials, as we pretty much gathered by having .gov domains hosted there.
Okay, and if you click this guy, please don't break it. Brings up the Nmap report. Just sort of a quick shortcut there. You can come and obviously see anything that Nmap was able to pull out of it as well. So a couple of different outputs there. The 50, 120, different number of results. If you click all, and you have like more than 500, it'll say this is a very bad idea. You sure you want to do it? So just thought I'd help you guys out. Let me go back.
That's very useful if, say, you want to take this and directly output it into the report that you're going to generate. So if you have a way to be able to, say, print to a PDF, there's a PDF of a quick just switch that you can go through and look at all of those targets.
Yeah. So I can clean this up a little bit, but you get the gist of it. It's all right there at your fingertips.
You see the mouse overs with open, the I for information, and then you've got the plus minus. The plus minus actually will build yourself an IP list. So let's back the screenshots back out so you can see it a little bit easier.
This is what we call TO mode, because somebody on my team, whose last name is Teodorsky, he said, I want to see like 2 of them per row, so you got to make them big. So yeah, that's because I love you.
Teo has his own mode. But yeah, so you can go through and you can add these items. So say the ones we were looking at, we just go through and click plus on them. They're going to come up and basically put IP address to port, or if it has a host name. Some of the Bing responded host names don't work all that well in it. But in that specific IP is one of the shared hosting solutions. When he clicked on that, it pulled up everything that was also resolving to that IP address. So a lot of these items you would not have gotten just by scanning that segment, because there are multiple sites that are hiding behind one IP. And so Bing is able to uncover a lot of that information for us as long as it's an external perimeter of an organization. And he likes penguins. No, what is that, toucan?
You know what that is?
It's in Alaska.
It's a puffin.
Hey, we had someone from Alaska here.
Okay. So that's...
So basically, you saw a very fast enumeration of a Class C network in a way that hopefully does this look pretty easy to use? Is Tesoro in here? We had talked last year at CarolinaCon about the need to try to put something like this together before I was able to convince Alias to be able to throw this together for us. So we had talked about it, we'd been brainstorming it, we've been trying to find a way, and there are a lot of awesome tools out there, but they don't scale well. This one will scan more hosts than you'll want to know that it can handle. As long as you have enough memory to be able to render these images on your machine. Nice try. It does not check them because
The only,
He-
let me go do that. Okay, so InMap is going to be the only thing that's going to be picked up by your IDSs. These are all valid web calls. It's not trying to exploit anything. It's not trying to do anything but gather data. So
this handles your enumeration to mapping phase. So it's not really going to go through the exploitation or verification of those credentials, but we wanted this to be very quiet. Adam, he really didn't want it to be quiet. He's on blue team, and I make things painful for him from time to time. But I like to be quiet. I like to get in and get my information and get back out without being seen. So all of these requests are valid HTTP requests after the Nmap scan. The Nmap scan is the only thing that anyone's IDS sensor in this room is going to pick up.
So in order to detect this, you'd have to have some kind of rule that looked for a certain number of requests from one IP address.
To valid HTTP sources,
So
which is not very common, because HTTP traffic is something we like a lot in our organizations.
a lot of type of what?
Type of what? Okay, so
Yeah.
do you work for Bing? I'm making one search to Bing. One search, and the rest of it's handled on the back end.
Per IP? Yes. So if you're just doing, and yes, that would be internal. I don't think you're going to find as much on Bing for internal. That's more meant for the external part of it.
Yeah, when you start going and rate limiting on people being able to search, you're going to have a whole other problem on your hands inside your organization. Well, in that case, and there are scripts that we're trying to put together for
Let me speak.
after enumeration, but your best bet would be like a dig. At that point, you'd want to do like a DNS request for all records.
And this is something that has been asked recently by a couple of my beta testers. Yes, that's in the plans because you guys need it, and that would be helpful. So I would have. Is that the right answer? No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to do what'll help you guys. So yes, dig is in the works. Will dig do it for you, or?
No, I mean, that was a handy example.
Yes. Okay, so something maybe to specify a specific DNS server, or? Mhm. Okay, that can. I mean, that's definitely something we can do. So.
Yeah, one of the most useful pieces that I've found is going through this, building an input list out of the hosts that I know are most likely vulnerable to a specific vulnerability, and then throwing that against Metasploit, or running NIC2 against every host that I really want to see more information about it. Because NIC2 will return either nothing or some very, very fun things to be able to toy around with. So we're looking at putting together a set of scripts. They're going to automate some of those other tools based on the formatting of the output that you can build within this interface of input lists against like targets. Anyone else have any questions?
It's 10:54.
MU.
No West Virginia jokes, please. I've got too many to throw around.
We don't have enough teeth up here. All right, so thank you all very much for coming and watching the presentation of RAWR. We'll go ahead and kick it out to the next slide.